So after watching this short film about the swastika, we can see how in the Hindu religion, or in a specific area of Hinduism, there's certain people that see the swastika as a good symbol. But we also saw in the video that the guy explained to us that here in the Western society, Honduras could be considered part of the Western society, we see the swastika as a very negative symbol. But that has to be part of the take into consideration that our grandparents, and our parents were all in the time of the war against the German people, and we grew up with the idea that the swastika is a symbol of evil. The swastika is a symbol of the Nazi, and that is bad because they killed Jewish people. But in Hinduism, they grew with a different idea. They just grew with the idea that the swastika was a symbol of their religion, and that it was representative of something very good to them and to their life, and that if the swastika is not present in their ceremonies, bad consequences can occur.
After watching the documentary Going Clear, which focused mainly on John Travolta's life and his religious changes, we could see how his surroundings, at first he did not follow, he was not Catholic, and the thing was, what we learned was what caused him to actually follow it, and it was his fellow co-workers who probably have similar interests that he does. Like they share common interest. They were the surrounding that influenced him to actually follow Catholicism. Maybe seeing them that they had a happy life, that they had a happy family, and all those factors could have put him thinking like, maybe if I follow this religion, the same will happen with me. I will live a happy life. So that's mainly the reason why I think that surroundings do influence your decisions and do influence your faith.
Me, I was born in a family that went to the Catholic Church every Sunday. My kids went to Catholic school, to a Catholic college. I love being in the Catholic Church. I call myself a Catholic. Some of my friends who I can have conversations with about these matters, some people say I'm not a real Catholic because I don't buy into all of the doctrine, all of everything that the Catholic Church today, says that you should do to be a Catholic. I don't necessarily follow all that. But having said that, in my mind, I feel comfortable in my skin that calling myself a Catholic is correct. I just don't follow everything. Make sense?
In the case of Mr. Dobie, we can see that even though he grew up in a surrounding of Catholicism, and he grew up in a family that put him into Catholic school, went to Catholic church, went to Catholic college, and all of these things that influence his life about Catholicism, he does follow it up to a certain extent, but there's certain other factors in his surrounding afterward that made him think differently. Like, for example, he told us a little later on that he researched a little bit about Buddhism, and that Buddhism was something that really influenced him into thinking that certain specific facts about the religion could maybe not be true. So maybe his surrounding afterwards about research and discovering other perspectives could have been influential to him. And maybe that is why Mr. Dobie does not follow specific teachings of the Catholic Church, and others he does.
Well, another real-life situation for the project could be like, for example, I grew up in a family that is considered to be Roman Catholic, but over the years I have considered myself non-denominational because I've looked at many of the factors that involves being a Catholic. I've been presented with various sides such as scientific evidence and other evidence-backed claims, and I've looked at the institution itself of the Catholic Church, and I've been able to rationalize a lot about my conscious decision on what religion to follow, and I've made a conscious decision on not to follow it because I do not agree with a lot of the points made, and it's a decision that I made pretty much on the basis of myself being an individualist, and it's not like there's someone above me that's saying what I have to believe or what I have to do, but you know, it's a decision I've made on myself that's pretty much led me to change my religion on a different level than what I'm supposed to be and what my parents decided that I wanted to be.
So as you could see previously, Matthew Ursa was born in a family that followed Roman Catholicism, but on his by himself, his own decision was not to follow the religion that surrounded him while he was young. He made a decision to not follow any religion at all. So I think that here is when we can see that our surroundings may, or for example, in his case, other surroundings may have influenced that decision. For example, like he said, scientific facts that he discovered about that religion, which made him skeptical about it. Or maybe, for example, the internet. He could have searched like many things about that religion to see if it was actually worth, or if it was actually like something he wanted to follow. After maybe several years of being surrounded by all of these, he made the decision to follow no religion at all. So here we can see how surroundings may change the way your family thinks, for example, and make you go against them.
Another important fact that we also have to mention in our presentation is about the multiple perspectives that were presented throughout this whole thing. We can see specifically in the example of Hinduism and Catholicism, we see those two perspectives, and also Scientology. Those are different religious perspectives. Also, we can see in the Hindu the two different historical perspectives. The historical perspective that sees the swastika as a bad symbol, and the historical perspective of people that simply grew up with it and believe that this is just another symbol that is part of the religion. This could be some of the multiple perspectives that are present in our presentation. Also, the scholarly perspective that is present in Mr. Dobie, that, as he told us after he filmed the video, that he was researching about Buddhism and stuff, and that's probably one of the other perspectives that came into play when he was deciding how he should follow his religion, and that would be another perspective that would be important to mention. So, a conclusion that we could derive from all this information is that, yeah, our surrounding does influence what we believe is faith, what we call faith. How? Well, for example, in the case of Mr. Dobie, he grew with a family that was Catholic, and he became a Catholic in a sort of way of speaking. Then he was influenced by the rest of his surrounding into not becoming a Catholic, but not of strong affiliation to the Catholic Church, and does not believe in all of the other different ones. Also, we can see the example of John Travolta. His surrounding, his co-workers, it's not since he was born, it was later on in the future. His co-workers made him join a specific religion, and this maybe was another important factor to see that his surrounding did highly influence in when he was choosing a religion.
However, then we have, for example, Matthew's case, in which he was born filled with a surrounding of Catholicism, like in a family that fully followed that religion. However, today he decided not to follow any religion at all. How can we be sure that it was actually the internet or surroundings like that made him change his mind? What if it was just his personal decision on, I just simply don't want to follow this religion, I don't like its doctrines, or whatever other factor it might be. Maybe actually, for example, we can see clearly how his family did not influence him at all.
So, from this whole presentation, I think that the two conclusions that we can derive is that the background can be highly influential to your decision in faith. But also, if you have a specific background, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will follow this specific religion. So these are the two different perspectives that you can take when deriving into a conclusion on this topic.